Twitch should be going. YouTube should be going. Facebook, of course, failed to connect. So I'll have to modify that. Just a second here. Only my second live stream, so bear with me here while I find my footing. Streaming software. Copy. Start connecting. Okay. And then, of course, TikTok here for the first time, too, as well. I'll just go ahead and hit go live real fast. TikTok will be... Alright, and I should be live on across essentially everything right now. Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Of course, TikTok is only on my smartphone because I just don't have the followers and whatnot. And yeah, TikTok has some pretty stringent guidelines as far as live streaming is concerned on desktop. It's possible. I also just haven't quite figured out how to do it yet. But at any rate, welcome everyone. Second live stream. So super excited about this right now. Got some topics that I wanted to mention about. Definitely. First of all, second live stream. This was not necessarily how exactly. This is not the typical schedule. This is not going to be the typical schedule for a little while. I'm doing a second live stream this month at the end of the month as opposed to the first weekend and the third weekend of the month because of the fact that effectively I kind of screwed up. I meant to do my first live stream at the first week of last month. I wound up pushing it until the third weekend of last month, but then I realized, if I don't do one this weekend, then that kind of hurts me on at least Twitch for doing two live streams a month, and yeah. So I figured that it's just easiest to do it to just get the ball rolling a little bit better as opposed to just holding off until I can get it back on track. So figured more content is better. So anyway, a few topics that I definitely wanted to hit on, a couple of them at least, is first of all, my home city, Fort Wayne, Indiana, is talking about widening a street that is 2 lanes of traffic right now, 40 miles an hour, being, I believe it's Huguenard and all the way up to East DuPont. So let me see if I can find this real fast. And I'll go ahead and do... here we go. So yeah, and then let me see about sharing my screen here real fast. There we go. And then I can come over here. Okay, so, and I'll even go ahead and close that out real fast. Okay, so if you're on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, you can see this, or at least you should be able to see this, hopefully. If you're on TikTok right now, then you probably cannot see it. I am seeing a lot of people that have joined on TikTok just now. How's it going? Definitely. My first name is Blake, by the way. This is Ride with Ebs. I am a e-commerce drop shipping business focused on electric bike, scooters, and skateboards for urban, residential, and local commuting. You can check out the website, my website, ridewithdebs.com. I've got an electric air pump and a hydration pack on there right now. I am working on getting some other riding gear and stuff like that on there as well. But right now I'm just wanting to effectively put more content out there, just talking about the industry as a whole, different things that pop up either locally right here in my home city or the industry as a whole. So, at any rate, this right here is, like I said, home city of Fort Wayne. They came out with this article. When did they come out with this article? 2 weeks ago, it looks like, yeah. And I won't play the video right now because I don't want to get, copyright or anything like that. But basically, they're working on widening a street. I know what street they're talking about. It's a 2-lane street, essentially. One traffic goes one way and then the other. And it's usually about 35 to 40 miles an hour. I think at one point there's a small section that's 45, but it's usually between 35 and 40 miles an hour. So, is it a good idea for them to widen it? Well, it depends on how they're widening it. And according to this, they're widening it to 5 lanes. Those are busy thoroughfares, sidewalks in those portions for if we possibly can. Multi-use path, awesome, definitely. Because there's a church down there. Let me see if I can actually pull this up on maps real fast. Hold on. Should be able to pull this up on maps. And Huguenot Road, Fort Wayne. Here we go. Yeah. So if we come down in here, and yeah, most of this down and through here is 2-lane street right there. Take that away. You come a little bit further south, essentially, and you can absolutely see where I'm coming from here as far as, okay, here we go, down in here a little bit more. So yeah, there's industrial down and through here. There is some churches a little bit further down. There's a church down in here. There's a gas station right around the corner here, residential. So if they are actually looking at making this multi-use, and not just for the sake of shoving more traffic through, shoving more vehicles through at a faster rate and everything like that, if that's what they're really aiming for, and that's what they manage to do, great. All for it. Because the fact of the matter is that there's a whole bunch of reasons, there's a whole bunch in that area where you should be able to walk to it without fear of being ran over by a driver. And as long as they keep it mixed use, there's a church down there, there's a dog park down in there, there's, industrial jobs down in there. As long as they keep that mixed use, then absolutely 100%, I'm all for it. What I'm not for is just adding more lanes for vehicles for drivers and then making it more dangerous for everyone involved. And so the next thing you know, even though you live a block down the street from the church that's right down there, you have to pile everyone into the car and just be able to go down that block because traffic zips by at 50 miles an hour. So, not that great. Not that great of an idea. Not that safe. Just no. But if you widen it out for pedestrians and cyclists and scooters and whatnot like that, you're widening it for people, right? So if that's what they're aiming for, which it sounds like they are, which in all honesty, they've been needing to do this for a while. So at first I was against it whenever I heard about it, and then I dove into the article a little bit more. With an 80-20 split, the city will be able to make its dollar stretch a little further. INDOT. We are trying to... we try to do that as much as possible to reach our dollars as much as possible. Okay, yeah. So this looks like they're doing exactly what honestly should have been done a long time ago. So I am all for this as long as, I love walking around downtown Fort Wayne, mostly because almost anywhere else is not friendly for the pedestrians, not friendly for people in general. So as long as they do this, then this is going to be awesome. I can definitely see this going over very well. So at any rate, but yeah, no, definitely. Come on, there we go. Okay. So, and I actually used to live down in that area with my family when, growing up and everything like that. About half my life was spent there because that's where my mom lived. The other half of my life was spent with my grandma, other area of town entirely. But I remember that anywhere I wanted to go, I could just go literally in my own street, and that was it. If I needed to go anywhere else, if I wanted to go anywhere else, it usually had to be planned out in advance, and it usually just didn't happen. So I was kind of stuck there on my own street. So, it was one of those things where I was essentially isolated from everyone with the exception of like a few other kids that also lived in that same area. Not saying that I, didn't have any friends growing up or anything like that. Very small, tight-knit group of friends. I'm saying that, and I'm just now realizing that that's still my life today. Different group of friends, but still, literally handful of friends. Only a handful of friends. Less drama that way. But it's one of those things that it living in that area, it didn't really allow me to explore much on my own without needing to be driven somewhere, right? It's one of those things where, because of majority of my family's busy life schedule, everything like that, it didn't really allow me to explore because if I wanted to go outside of my street, I effectively couldn't because traffic was zipping by at 60 miles an hour. It just made the whole situation super dangerous unless I was trapped inside that frickin' car. Which, of course, I don't have, at the time, 10 years old, I don't have a license. So, yeah, absolutely. All for this, if this goes through, and if this is looking like what it's supposed to be for. So, absolutely, 100%. How am I doing? Got some people right here on TikTok, as a matter of fact. I'll go ahead and come over here real fast. Do I have... you got your 2 cents to put into this? Absolutely. Feel free to. 2 messages. Let's see. I don't know if I can see messages on here. It's not letting me see anything so far. So, anyway. Okay. At any rate. But yeah. And we honestly need more. So, a terrible example of a walkable area in Fort Wayne, as of the last few years, I forget exactly which year this was something like Jefferson Point. Jefferson Point Shopping Center used to be an outdoor shopping mall where you would park your car in a big parking lot, but to go between the shops, it would be all walkable and all very pedestrian friendly, everything like that, nice and open area. And then they decided to put parking spaces in front of the stores and drive-throughs between the stores, everything like that. And it just makes it so much more dangerous. They literally even put up signs saying, no bikes, no scooters, no skateboards. You're taking away things that people can use that are actually safer. Fight me on it, I dare ya. In place of these 2-ton vehicles, for the purpose of what? Making sure people walk less? Last I knew, we're already spending too much time sitting down at our desk jobs or sitting at home anyway. We definitely spend too much time sitting at home. So it just doesn't make any sense to do that. I heard someone say at one point, oh, well, the owner of Jefferson Point wanted to do that because then they would, yeah, I hope that audio didn't come through the microphone. Motorcycle. Down our neighborhood, no, down a residential area, motorcycle revving up. Go figure, right? But no, I heard a rumor from someone that that the owner of Jefferson Point decided to put in the parking between the shops for the sake of the handicapped. My first immediate thought was, oh, great. So in doing so, you're basically handicapping everyone. Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, literally. So, but the multi-land expansion, multi-use expansion through this street in Fort Wayne, I'm all for, as long as they do it the way they're claiming they're going to do it. And that is mixed use, walkable, being able to ride on it, able to ride a bicycle, able to ride a scooter, able to ride a skateboard, everything like that. As long as you're making it so that people who live nearby, if you want to go down to the dog park that's right there, the indoor dog park, I'm assuming it's open year round, I'm not 100% sure, but if you want to go to the dog park that just opened up right there, and you live right around that area, right around that corner, you should be able to go there without having to drive your vehicle there. You should have the freedom of the option to. The choice to. You should be able to make that choice without worrying about, am I gonna be ran over and killed by this 2-ton all these 2-ton tanks zipping around me at 60 miles an hour. And further south of that, what do we got here? Further south of that area, I'm not sure about this with TikTok. I'm going to have to check that out later. Somebody just sent me something, and I'm not sure what or how to reach it. Okay. Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much. It looks like it was positive, at least. But the south of on Huguenard, Hillegas, something like that, south of State Boulevard, that area specifically, I have ridden my bike down that street numerous times in all weather conditions. It straight up sucks. And it has no excuse to suck as bad as what it does. It does not. It doesn't need to suck as bad as what it does, and yet it absolutely does. The main reason behind it is because of the fact that it is effectively, it's super wide lanes that has a divider down the middle, okay? It's, curvy and everything like that, and it's like 40 miles an hour, but it has several stoplights as you're going through that are, I'm going to say, definitely way less than a mile apart. Like several stoplights within a mile going down that street, and there's just no reason for it. There's no reason for it to, first of all, be that wide, and second of all, be that fast. Especially whenever you're going through residential areas, especially whenever you're going through, you're going down to somewhere that people should be able to walk this. People should be able to bike this. People should be able to ride their skateboards with their families and everything like that. So, if it's extended further south and north than what I think they were saying it was, then that's going to be a step in the right direction. That's going to be a step in the right direction. I love the fact, I've said this in the live stream, I love the fact that I can, that where me and my girlfriend live right now, we can walk from our apartment to downtown Promenade Park and, down the landing, everything like that. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, other shopping if we wanted to, whatever it is like that. I love that we can do that. I love it. Without needing to have a car, and it's one of those things that it makes it so much less stressful. But then you could get places like Jefferson Point, or people are complaining about the construction on State Boulevard around like Northside and where like around Acme Bar and Grill and everything like that. People are complaining about how narrow those streets are. They are made for you to walk or ride a bike. They're not made for your F550 Super Duty. Yeah, sure, you can make it work if you really need it to in a pinch. Just don't try to do 60 miles an hour down that street and you're fine. This is not rocket science. It should not be. It's so obvious, but at any rate, anyway, how long have I been live for so far? 22 minutes? Okay. But yeah, there's other examples where Fort Wayne has been doing really good, as far as walkability, everything like that. As far as the just human friendly, people friendly areas. But then there's other areas that they just completely miss the mark, and it is astonishing that any city planner. I'm not a city planner. I've never taken a course or anything like that in urban planning or anything. But there are just some, there just are some areas where, really? You really thought this was a good idea? I mean, I don't know. And in some ways it's getting better. In some ways it's getting worse. But there is one thing that people can do that isn't really being talked about much. And it is essentially voting with their dollar. What do I mean by that? Effectively, people need to stop relying on their vehicles for every little bitty trip that they want to take. They just do. If we have more demand, if there are more people that are willing to ride a bicycle, ride a scooter, ride a skateboard, analog or electric, it doesn't matter. At least in this context, it doesn't matter. In the context of my business, it doesn't matter. If they're willing to do that, if they are willing to say, hey, look, if there are more people that are willing to ride, then there's going to obviously be, increased demand, everything like that. And that's going to effectively, that's going to make it so that the people who actually have the power to say, okay, let's go ahead and create this infrastructure, let's, change this or whatever like that. And if they don't do that, if they don't sit there and go, oh, well, there are more people riding a bike than what there are driving now. Oh, there are more people that are willing to walk because we see the results. If they don't, then, then they're not doing their job that they were voted in and hired to do. They're not working for the people, they're working for themselves at that point. I don't want to get too political or anything like that. This is not, I am very, middle of the road whenever it comes to politics, or, but in the sense of it making business sense for everyone. If we had more bike, scooters, and skateboards on the streets through urban and residential areas, then that would be safer for everyone, because then that means that we have less drivers, less cars, less single person in a 18-seater van, because they believed and felt like that was the only way they could be safe going down the street. That's ultimately what this really is about, is being the source of the demand for better infrastructure, for safer infrastructure, for more efficient infrastructure. Creating the demand. It's up to the communities to say, we want to ride, we don't want to have to drive, so I'm going to jump on my bike, even if the infrastructure isn't made for it where you're going. If you're trying to go on the highway and jump from, Fort Wayne to Indianapolis, that makes sense. If you're wanting to take a day trip somewhere to a different city, driving makes sense. It just does. But if you're just looking to get, across the city to see your friends or whatever like that, that's where TikTok keeps on saying resume the stream. Okay. That's where, you should be able to just walk or bike or whatever like that, and it should be fine. So, and it's up to us as the citizens of, our respective cities where we live to say, hey, look, I'm going to walk this. Are there dangers associated with this? Of course there are, because right now there's a lot of infrastructure out there that prioritizes fast drivers over, everyone else, practically. So that's really what it boils down to. It just takes it takes enough people with the balls to be like, this isn't right, and I am going to act as if this change is implemented, so I help it become implemented. Right? Creating the demand of safer infrastructure for everyone, not just drivers. That's the main point. So, at any rate, okay. The next topic that I really wanted to talk about, and I hope that I can pull this up fairly easily, is this other article right here. And this one I'm pretty sure I can play the audio with. TikTok, you're unfortunately not gonna hear this because you're on my smartphone, not my desktop. So basically it's the New York City New York City mayor speaks on why ending parking mandates is necessary to tackle housing crisis. And I'll just go ahead and put this up here real fast. Hopefully this does it. If not, please work. Please. There we go. Okay. And then I'll come over here. Awesome.
We're going to create housing for New Yorkers, not cars. As unbelievable as it may seem, New York City's zoning rules mandate off-street parking spots as a part of new housing. And parking in buildings where it is offered is usually too expensive and out of reach for most of the residents living there. Most of these garage or parking spaces come with highly monthly fees that cost as much as a second rent.
Yeah,
This
the
makes no sense.
New York City
In a
parking
city
definitely
where the
does
majority of residents
cost a lot.
do not own a car, especially at a time when we are looking to reduce emission
Mhm.
and support the nation's largest public transit system. Our administration has never been afraid to make big changes for the common good, and this will be one of the biggest. Our new rules will eliminate parking mandates for new housing across New York City and dramatically expand the options for adding more homes across the board.
So, for TikTok's sake, yeah, New York is looking to cut down on their parking mandates. Basically, before this, if there were some parking mandates where, you had an apartment building that was big enough, or you had, or if you have, some sort of a store or something like that, small business or whatever like that, you had to have your parking space, you had to have a big enough parking space essentially for the city to not come down on you, to fine you and everything like that. And they're saying, you know what, we're going to get rid of it because we're realizing that, hey, we need infrastructure that is friendly to humans, not cars. And that's literally what he just said. So I'm going to let this play through the rest of the way real fast.
Right now, every two parking spots that are added to new buildings take up a space for one studio apartment, making housing more expensive for everyone. If you want to build parking spots, you still can. But we will not force people to build parking they do not want. We are going to let the market decide how much parking New Yorkers are willing to pay for, all while driving down the cost of new housing. These changes will encourage more housing, help more people afford rent, and turn the 5 boroughs into a city of yes.
Okay, so yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like it is. New York mayor. Again, I'm not really meaning to get political, but I am going to I am going to give credit where it's due. Now, I will acknowledge something. My last live stream. Hold on, let me switch back over here to my camera. There we go. Okay. I will admit, my last live stream, I was very critical about, and TikTok, you don't know this, but I was very critical with New York about the fact that they were wanting to put electric bikes, that they were basically mandating that electric bikes need registration, license, insurance, all that stuff and everything like that. And I did say that, hey, look, I get it, but this is the wrong thing to do. The reason why they were doing it is because of electric bike batteries catching fire. And I get it. It looked bad on the surface. And on the surface, it was bad for a good number of people. Like, it wasn't just like one or two instances, right? Keep in mind, there was an electric bike boom whenever the pandemic first hit. And there was just, a lot of even reputable brands of electric bikes could not even keep up with the demand. Okay, they I think there was one electric bike brand that they tripled their output and productivity, and it still wasn't enough. I don't remember who. But there were also some bad players in the game of the electric bike, scooter, and skateboard industry. That they were cutting all sorts of corners to be able to maximize their profit, and they were in it for fast cash. I talked about that last live stream. For TikTok, I'll just go ahead and mention real fast. There are a lot of electric bikes, scooters, and skateboards that are coming out and they're being promoted, and they're just in it for fast cash. They're not in the industry for the same sake that I am, the same sake that other electric bike brands have been in the game for years now at this point. They're not in it for the same reason that comparatively, they're only in it for fast cash, right? We saw that with the hoverboards. Well, guess what? We're seeing it again with the surge of electric bikes and scooters and skateboards, where they're cutting costs, they're getting cheap garbage and selling it at the same price as, or lower actually in a lot of cases. There's other electric bike brands out there that they're selling their electric bikes for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. That's because of the fact they've put in the effort, they've put in the research, they've crunched the numbers, and they're actually even if they're not fully building themselves from scratch, they still took a lot of time into designing something that was going to work long term, right? And in harsh conditions potentially. If you live in New York or something like that, you get the harsh winters. Fort Wayne gets harsh winters too. I don't know if they're the same, but in Florida it's going to be super humid. Whatever the case is like that. But there were a lot of these other electric bike, scooter, and skateboard brands that they didn't do their research because they were just in it for fast cash. And what happened is that some people were, buying, hey, I can grab this $200 electric bike that folds up and I can take it with me almost anywhere I go because I can carry it around like a suitcase. Yeah, about that. Can you say garbage? They wind up exploding because they cut so many corners to those batteries or the charging cable or what have you, that they were not put together appropriately. They were not put together properly. So what winds up happening is that there is enough of them because enough people are trying to buy the cheap crap and saying, oh, I'm going to save $1. You don't want to save money buying an electric bike in that way, right? You save money by buying an electric bike and being able to ride it around town and not have to pay gas, license, registration, insurance, all that shit. You don't save money on the initial purchase of a bike. I'm not saying that you need to go out and spend 10 grand on a electric bike just to be able to zip around town or whatever like that. That's pretty asinine, unless you get some serious bells and whistles to it, like LTE or 5G connectivity. I don't know of any bike that's doing that. I still wouldn't recommend it. If there's one out there that's doing it and they're doing great, kudos to you. But I also don't recommend the extreme opposite end of the spectrum where you are only spending, a few $100s on an electric bike. These things are slow-moving vehicles. They are made to keep up with traffic in an urban or residential area, while not, they're not made for city, or they're not made for highway use, rather. They're not made for long-distance commuting. They're made for short commuting, or, even just bopping around a city downtown area for a day or whatever like that. So they do need to put a certain amount of time and effort and energy into making these, so you do want to get something that is a solid brand at a solid price, right? A few $1,000s is not unreasonable for an electric bike, scooter, or skateboard, especially if you're essentially wanting to use it like a car like a vehicle in essentially all kinds of weather that would be safe for any other vehicle to ride in. You know, if there's a severe thunderstorm warning or severe blizzard or something like that, and the city that you're living in is shut down or whatever because it's an emergency state, probably best to stay home. You know, but if it's a light rain or something like that, as long as you're using your head, common sense, I know that's a rarity, but as long as you're using common sense, you know, you just slow down a little bit, you pay attention to the road, you pay attention to the conditions and everything like that. You know, you're more prepared to come to a stopping point faster and everything. You should be fine, right? You should be fine, and but the electric bike, scooters, and skateboards out there that are, you know, $100 or $200 or even $300 are probably not going to cut it for that. They're probably going to get shorted out or damaged because they're just not made to handle those kind of elements like that. If you're in a fortunate enough position as to where if it's bad weather, you don't have to go out and you're not gonna, you don't need to go out for anything, then great. But I still wouldn't recommend it because it was still put together cheaply, most likely, and you still run the risk of the battery exploding whenever you charge it. You just do. I mean, if it's that cheap, they probably cut corners on it and the battery exploded. But New York City, was it city or state? I'm not remembering which one it was. Don't quote me on it, but it was either New York City or state wanted to start doing registration, license, insurance, everything like that for electric bikes, specifically, I believe. If scooters and skateboards were in the mix, I missed it. But I can't really blame them except for the part where they didn't seem to do any research on the topic and were just wanting to arbitrarily throw this rule at the industry as a whole as an answer to this problem of effectively of a few bad products out of the, God, I don't even know, several tens of thousands of products that were sold during the pandemic and are probably still being sold today. The numbers have dipped and everything like that. But I do believe that was the calm before the storm because I'm in this industry and I haven't sold anything yet. So I'm saying it was a calm before the storm because I haven't been able to do what I want to do yet with my business. Anyway. Their answer to it was very much, we don't know enough about this, but let's just throw a wrench into their system to slow it down. Not a good answer to that, not a good solution to that problem. Not a good one at all. However, this article here, the one from Twitter where you had the mayor talking about we're going to lighten up on take away the parking mandates and everything like that. That's a step in the right direction. You know, you're repurposing and recreating the current infrastructure for people instead of drivers. I will always be an advocate for that. In densely populated areas, of course. So that makes sense. You know. So, credit where credit's due. Absolutely 100,000%. Lighten up on the parking mandates for these buildings, these apartment complexes, everything like that. Because it's the right thing to do. Obviously, nobody is really going to know, besides the mayor himself, what his true motives are. He can say whatever he wants, and it may or may not be accurate. Maybe lying to himself. Nobody's really going to know because nobody's in his head. But the idea that this is potentially happening, along with the idea that, along with the idea that, uh, if it if it does happen, then great. That means that people win. That means that people win. Humans win. The community wins. And I've seen street films. I am actually subscribed to street films on my personal YouTube channel. I have seen where New York City specifically, and probably other parts of it, and probably other parts of New York State, but specifically downtown, I think like Manhattan and Times Square and different places like that. I think it was Fourth Street, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Fourth Street. That they've repurposed it since the pandemic. Whenever the pandemic first hit and nobody was going anywhere or doing anything, they decided to open the streets up to people, right? They barred it off from drivers, which essentially opened it up to people, and now you have flowers and people dancing and mothers that are walking their grandmothers and their children in streets that used to be just absolutely littered with huge vehicles, and consistently throughout the day. So I absolutely give props to that. And this here about the parking mandates thing, this seems to be another step in the right direction. I don't agree with electric bike scooters and skateboards needing license, registration, or insurance and everything like that, because that is effectively, that's a lot of the reason what makes vehicles a liability to people, right? You're paying into insurance every single month, quarter, half year, whatever the case is, like that, and nothing happens. Most of the time you don't wind up getting into an accident, or if you do get into an accident, then you're potentially penalized for it. I know that there's accident forgiveness and everything like that, where your fees get waived and everything. I've been there, done that. But then my girlfriend, who does have a car, she just recently had to switch her car insurance because the car insurance that she had sent her an email, and I'm going to paraphrase this. I'm not going to rattle it off verbatim because I just don't remember it. It's been over a year now. Sent her an email saying, hey, we're going to raise your insurance because we're doing it across the board and because we can. Now, I will grant part of that is probably just because of the fact that, dollars crashing, everything like that. So, dollars being devalued every day. The value of the dollar is down. So therefore everything else is going up in price. But still, car insurance will go up on you regardless of, car insurance was going up on people before the pandemic. Car insurance went up on me twice whenever I had cars. Whenever I had a car. I had 2 cars in the past, and they went up on me just because they could. It wasn't much, but it was still the idea, hey, I'm paying you guys, and I haven't had an accident. I hadn't been pulled over, anything like that, and my car insurance still went up. It was by a few bucks, but still. It shouldn't have. There was no reason for them to do that. And they're like, well, that's whenever you start switching, looking around for... I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to window shop for insurance just to keep it low. Especially whenever I'm just bopping around the town. That's one of those things that I absolutely hate. And whenever I realize that I can get from my family's house to the library, a mile down the street from where I lived at the time, on my bike, without dying, Uh, and then a few months later, I'm still cycling around Fort Wayne every day to get everywhere I want to go, and I'm doing it just fine. And I get a check from my insurance provider whenever I had my car. Oh yeah, here's the remainder of what you paid us but haven't used yet because it's been, you hit the threshold or whatever like that. So here's, $26 or whatever the hell it was. Oh great, thanks. I can book my cruise now. Um, you know, it's just depreciating. Car is considered a depreciating asset, which really just means it's a liability, unless you're writing it off as either a business expense for your business, or you're expensing it out through your job because it's a company car or whatever it is like that. If either one of those things are true for you, then you're doing better than the average person. Let me tell you that much right now. But for the average person, a car is a liability. Okay, yeah, sure. You may be a car enthusiast, whatever like that. Kudos to you. Great. Awesome. Um, you know, I'm a computer enthusiast. I'm a tech enthusiast at heart. I'm a video enthusiast. So, does all my computer equipment and tech cost me money every time I want to upgrade or even just to keep up with everything? Absolutely. But I've never had anything increase in price just because, and that was it, right? As of recently now, subscriptions have been going up. I've been seeing if I can find alternatives, and it turns out that, whatever. That there's a higher upfront cost to having a server versus having to deal with cloud storage going up for photos and videos and my personal data. At any rate. But, no, a car is a liability, straight up. And you're paying for it to go to work, basically. To go to work, to hang out with friends, everything like that. There should be more of an option to be able to walk, to be able to ride a bike, to be able to skateboard safely, efficiently, and to be able to go anywhere that you would want to, right? There should be more. There should be more reasonable, viable options than just hoping that the sidewalk isn't torn up today, or hoping that the bike path that hoping that the only bike path to get me from home to work isn't shut down, so I have to jump on a 4-lane street road hybrid piece of garbage or whatever. Like really? Freaking really? Uh, you know, we should have more choices as far as transportation is concerned, and we just don't. We just don't. And I mean we in the sense of, not just Fort Wayne, not just New York, but America in general. Yes, there are certain cities that are doing better than others as far as providing pedestrian-friendly areas for their communities. They're doing great in a lot of ways. I'm sure that they are. I haven't done much research on it yet, mainly because the research I really want to do is boots on the ground, physically in the areas. Haven't been able to do that yet. Have not been able to make that work. And of course, that comes from having enough money to be able to do so. Haven't been able to have enough money whenever I'm wanting to start up this business that's selling electric bikes and scooters and skateboards and riding gear and apparel, everything like that. This is the part where the live stream where, I just go ahead and mention real fast about my store. I've got the electric air pump on it, and I've got the hydration pack on it. I'm looking into shirts right now, just as, entering the industry with lower cost products, right? So I am, this is not necessarily, oops, hold on a second. this is not necessarily where, this business for me is not like Linus Tech Tips where, I'm primarily relying on sponsorships for making videos on other brands' products. And then I happen to be selling some merch that may or may not make me some profits down the road, right? We are, me and my business partner right now are looking into different components that we can buy through the internet from different manufacturers around the world to hopefully get my SA team back up and going in a hopefully much better way than what it was previously, or at least a more reliable way. And so we are looking at lower priced products, the lowest priced products that we can possibly get right now that is for generic use. Right now, I don't want to list, a light on my website that is, potentially going to require other proprietary technology or hardware or whatever like that down the road. And now we're essentially, hamstrung by whatever we can find that works for that light, or having to find all these workarounds, loopholes, and everything like that. No. So, shirts and gloves and helmets and different things like that. Backpacks, hydration packs, the electric air pump thing, riding gear and riding apparel that is, fairly generic. But I'm still selling it at enough of a profit that I can grow this business. So, we're not looking to be a sponsorship. We are looking to become a brand. So, at any rate, and my camera's battery's about to die, and that's one of the downfalls of using my DSLR as a live streaming camera that is old enough that it doesn't even have its own charging port built into the body of it. So, at any rate. So, yeah. Feel free to check out my website, ridewithebs.com. I've got those 2 products there right now. And that is effectively how I'm looking to grow the business. Working on some shirts right now, hoodies, different things like that, as low-cost products as we can possibly get. If you have suggestions for other products that maybe I'm not thinking of or haven't mentioned yet, that you'd be willing to buy, then by all means I'll look into those definitely. For me this is a business of serving customers, right? This is me wanting to grow a brand that is going to effectively give the middle finger to the automotive industry that has been destroying cities and urban and residential areas for way the hell too long. So, and I don't doubt that I'm going to be came after for in whatever malicious way they want to come after me for doing this. But it's about time that America has its balls released from the automotive industry just to be able to get back and forth to work or bopping around the city. It's about time, and I'm stepping up to the plate. There are other brands out there that are doing the same thing, or at least a similar thing. I've got a few ideas of my own that I haven't seen anyone else do yet. So, if you are willing to, absolutely, I would love that, obviously. I hope so. And hope I get some support on this. So, yep. Anyway, that's all I got for right now. I am signing off in about, yeah. So, and I am going to be doing another live stream next weekend, around this same time, to kind of keep myself back on the original schedule that I really wanted to do in the first place. So, anyway, that's all I got for right now. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and of course, TikTok. And I'm signing off.